What's up, everybody? It's Tyler with Esports, and today we are joined by Team Liquid's head coach, Jatt, after their last game of the weekend. Coach, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about this game first off. I mean, it feels like the team hasn't played to its potential just yet, but this game looked a lot cleaner than a few of the other games that you guys have had so far. I mean, what are some of your first takes after this game and this weekend in general?
I think this weekend in general was very close to a 3-0. I think looking back at that TSM game, we had a number of opportunities to win that game. Mountain Soul, bunch of mid-game advantages, and then made a lot of mid to late game mistakes. But this game, I think it was maybe even more of an explosive early game. We had just a massive 3,000 2-dragon multiple turret lead at 15 minutes. Yeah. And then still actually made a few mistakes in closing it out, but still overall it's okay to be 2-1 because that was a really important win. Now we're 7-5, 1 game out of second and 2 games ahead of the 7th place team.
Yeah. I mean, it probably hasn't been as smooth as you guys have wanted it to be, but again, after the early performances that you had, not only with the lock-in and stuff, as the coach, what would you say are some of the problem areas, or not problem areas, but just issues in general that the team has been dealing with right now that is holding them back from really reaching their potential?
I think it's just part of the process. Okay. We have been a team for 2 months in terms of stage games. Some teams right now are performing at a slightly higher level, and we've had a lot of really close games. Like if you go back and look at the way we lost a lot of our games, all of them except for one were in winning positions.
Right.
So right now, the biggest thing that we need to improve on is how to close out games from winning positions, because we're getting into winning positions pretty reliably. Mm-hmm. So we can't forget how to get into winning positions, and we need to be able to close. And then also, I definitely think that the compressed schedule and the small number of games, we've been playing this split for actually only 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we won lock-in 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we're actually still really good, and there's clearly a lot more we can improve on to get more reliable wins. But I really don't like reading too much into the actual best of 1 full results, and more look at the overall trend, which has us being the best early game team in the league, who's had a few very close losses and can clearly improve their mid to late game.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's no question that you guys are still up there. I think that everybody thinks that you guys are a top team anyways, even though, you've dropped a couple of games. Now, you're not, I was going to touch on this too. You're not new to the NA scene, but as a coach, you're still relatively new. And I wanted to kind of get your perspective on some of the toughest challenges that you've had to deal with yourself as the coach over this past year. What's one of the biggest, hurdles that you've had to deal with as your transition and dealing and being a coach?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about coach to caster, I think it's a lot bigger focus on really small things instead of trying to see the big picture. There's almost too many things to list, and to kind of think of the biggest challenge kind of off the top of my head is going to be difficult. But okay. I'd say it's always just a constant balance of knowing you wield a lot of power and knowing when to best use it. Is just a balance that's always hard to hit, because I have great players.
Yeah.
And they're very trustworthy and they're very good. So it's about building trust between myself and them, and then ultimately finding the right conclusion at the end of the day.
Okay. Now I got to touch on a topic. It's been kind of heating up. I'm not going to outright ask about, it's about the LCS import rule, but I'm not going to outright ask you, do you have do you support removing it, or do you support et cetera, et cetera? I want to focus more so on your take on the subject of what do you think are the biggest issues right now, if there are any, but what do you think are some of the biggest issues right now about the North American League of Legends scene that need to be addressed before we even consider talking about the import rule and possibly removing it?
That's a tough one, because there are a lot of things that everyone has to deal with from every region. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the things that are quote holding NA back have been addressed for a long time. It's some variation of solo queue ping, server size, number of pro teams, talent development. Like there's so many things, but those can also just be using excuses, which I am not going to use because what I really want to focus on is how to progress this team further. This organization, Team Liquid, was in the finals of MSI in 2019. Last year, we were 3-3 in group stage, took a game off of Suning and G2, very close to making it to quarterfinals and beyond. And what I'm focusing on is not like, how do I involve myself in this conversation of what disadvantages I could have? And it's more like, we're really freaking close to breaking through. So everything we're focusing on this year is how to win NA, which is still a hard league to win, and do much better internationally. Like that's what I'm thinking about right now. Okay, well, I think that's all I have for you today, man. But thanks for sharing all of your thoughts on the season so far. Good luck on the rest of the split. We only have like 2 more weeks, I think. So hopefully we'll be able to see you guys and talk to you again soon. And to the viewers, thank you so much for watching. If you want any more in-depth LCS coverage, please subscribe to the Esports channel. We'll catch you guys next time.